Hello, boys and girls. So we are going to do more about discovering our world. We are going to learn more about solid, liquids, and gases. And we are going to do some review of things that we've already done as well as learn something new today. All right, so let's look and see what we got. Okay, so we have our high frequency words. Close, cold, come, done, fire, front, life, name, small, and times. So I'm only going to pick a couple of these to play I Spy. And so I'm going to say I spy a word that, and then give you something that the word is like, and then you're going to guess what it is. So basically, this word, I spy a word that is the opposite of ice. That is the opposite of ice. I spy a word that is the opposite of back. The opposite of the word back. I spy a word that is the opposite of the word big. It's the opposite of the word big. All right, so let's go on to the next thing. So suffixes, we're going to look at ER and EST. A suffix is a part added to the end base of a word that changes the meaning of the word. The endings ER and EST can be added to many adjectives to compare. So we're going to look at what happens when we use ER and EST at the end of a word. So let's look at number one. It says the word is weak. And if we add ER to it, it's weaker, which is more weak than weak. And then if we add EST to it, it's weakest, which is weak, even more weak than weaker. So weak, weaker, and weakest. So let's look at our next one. It's tall. Tall plus ER is taller, which means it's tall. It's taller than tall. Tall plus ES is tallest, which means it's even taller than tall or taller. It's the most tall. It's tallest. The next one is happy. Happy plus ER is happier. So that's happier than being happy. It's more than being happy. And then happy plus EST is happiest. And that's even more than being happy. It's the most happy you can be, is happiest. And then we also have over here, tasty, which is one of our power words. Tasty, if you add an IR and ER to it, is tastier, which means it's even more tasty. And then if you add an EST to it, it's tastiest. It means that it's the most tasty it can be. So that's our ER and EST. And here are our power words. And these are words that we did yesterday too. So we're just going over them again. The first word is amount. An amount is how much there is of something. So it's how much there is of something. And then the word is material. Material is what something is made from. And then there's space. Space is an open area or place. An example. An example is part of a larger group of things that are alike. Then we have easily. Something that is done easily is not hard to do. We have forms. Something that has many forms has different shapes or ways of being. Planet. A planet is a large object in space that moves around a star. And here's tasty. There it is. Tasty is something that is tasty is good to eat. So there are our power words for our book. Now this is the new thing that we're going to be talking about. It's called content area words. So you know sometimes when you're reading and you come across a word and you don't know what the meaning is. Well, this is going to help you figure out what the meaning is. So informational texts often use words from science and social studies to tell about a topic. And some of those words we don't know. We haven't seen them before. And so here's the boy thinking, how can I figure out what these words mean? So here are some ways we can figure it out. We can look at the text features like titles and headings. So we can look at the top of every page and see if there's a title or heading that'll give us an idea what this topic is about, and that'll help us maybe figure out the word as well. And then you can also look at the pictures, because in informational text there's a lot of photos, there's a lot of pictures that you can look at to kind of try to figure out what that word is. And then you can ask and answer questions. That's always a good strategy, to ask and answer questions to see if you can figure out what the word is. And this is the one that I use the most. It's use context. And what that means are use context or the words and sentences near the word. So I look at it as the words around the word. Like it might be the word before the word, it might be the word after the word, it might be the word at the beginning, it might be the beginning of a sentence, it might be the end of a sentence. It might be the sentence before the word, it might be the sentence after the word, but all those things can help me figure out what the word is by looking at the words around it or sentences around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our book, and it was one that we did yesterday, but we're going to do it again today, and while we're doing it, I'm going to look for context area words, see if we can find them. So let's see if we can find our story that we shared, that we did yesterday too. We're going to do it again, and I'm going to read it. Many Kinds of Matter by Jennifer Boothroyd. It's thinking. There we go. Matter. Matter is everywhere. Matter is anything that has mass and volume. Mass is the amount of material in an object. Volume is the amount of space the object takes up. Trees, lakes, and people are matter. All have mass and volume. There are three kinds of matter. Solid, liquids, and gases. Solids. Books, rocks, and toys are solids. Solid matter holds its own shape. Solids do not take the shape of their container. Container? That's a word that I'm curious about. I'm not sure if I know it, so I've got to look at it or look at the pictures to see if I can figure it out. Container. Well, let's see, what are the words around it? Solids do not take the shape of their container. So it sounds like it's something you hold something in. If solids don't take the shape of the container's got to be something that it holds something. So maybe it's that picture that has the marbles in the jar. Maybe the jar is a container. Let's see. Marbles fill a jar, but the marbles are still round. The shape of solids does not change when you put them in a container. I was right. So that picture is showing me the container, and then the marbles are inside the container. And books are one example of a solid. Solids are not easy to compress. Compress means to squeeze something in a tight space. Bottles and cans are solids. It's not easy to squeeze them into this recycling bin. Solids do not flow. Solid candies don't spread across the ice cream the way hot fudge sauce does. Candy sprinkles are solids. They do not flow over the ice cream. Liquids. Oil, syrup, and water are liquids. Liquid matter does not hold its own shape. Liquid takes the shape of their container. Water inside a swimming pool takes on the shape of the pool. Oil is one example of a liquid. Oh, that's that word example. Yeah, we had that in our power words. Water in a square pool takes on a square shape. Liquids are not easy to compress. Milk is a liquid. You couldn't fit the milk in the jug into the little carton. Liquid flows. Liquid syrup spreads across pancakes. Gases. Air, steam, and your breath are gases. Your breath is an example of a gas. That's that word again, example. It's an example of a gas. Gas matter does not hold its own shape. Gases take the shape of their container. The air inside of a hot air balloon takes on the shape of the balloon. Well, that makes sense. Gases are easy to compress. Carbon dioxide is a gas. It's inside soda cans. It squeezes into cans to give the soda bubbles. Carbon dioxide rushes out of soda cans when you open them. Gases flow. The air inside the bubble spreads to fill the space inside the bubble. Matter and changes. Matter can change from one kind to another. Some solids can change to liquids. Some liquids can change to gases. Water is a special kind of matter. You know that water is a liquid, but it can easily be found in all three forms on the planet. The liquid in this cup is changing to gas. Water becomes a solid if it is cooled. It turns into ice. Water turns into ice when it freezes. Water freezes when it reaches the temperature of 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Water becomes a gas if it is heated. It turns into steam. Water turns into steam when it boils. Water boils when it reaches the temperature of 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius. Water at any temperature can change into water vapor. Water vapor is a gas. This change is called evaporation. Some people use a drying rack after washing the dishes. The dishes dry after the water evaporates. Water vapor changes back into a liquid when water vapor changes back into liquid water when it cools in the air. This change is called condensation. You can see condensation after a hot shower. The water vapor touches the shower door and turns it back into a liquid. Have you ever seen condensation on a shower door? Other matter can change form. Cheese is a solid. It melts when it gets hot. It changes to a liquid. Bread dipped in melted cheese is a tasty treat. Juice is a liquid. It freezes when it gets cold. It changes to a solid. Ice pops can be made by freezing juice. We use solids, liquids, and gases every day. They are an important part of our lives in our planet. All right, so boys and girls, that was our story, and I want to go back to our context area words. So the one that I picked in the book was container, and some of the ways I figured it out is I looked at the picture. Remember, I looked at the picture of the container with the marbles in it? And then I also kind of looked around the word to figure out what a container might be. And I looked at the different texts as well, because the little circles that are near the pictures, that helped me too, because it had like a circle that was attached to the paper, the picture of the jar with the marbles, and it had the word container on it. So that helped me to know that was a container. So you can look for all these things. You can look for the text features like the titles and headings, or if there are, if the pictures are, have little bubbles or anything around them to tell you about the pictures. You can look at the pictures. You can ask and answer questions and use context or the words and sentences near the word. All right, so thank you, boys and girls. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I will see you at another time. Bye.